What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Blue Line. It's Top Cheddar here with Greztkys Betzkys here as well. Today we have an interesting video. As most of you know, the NHL Entry Draft is later tonight, I believe starting at 7 or 8 p.m. Eastern. A lot of NHL news dropping, a lot of things changing. So what we're going to see here is me and Betzky doing a mock draft against each other. There's 32 teams here. I think we're going to try to get through 15. Want to keep this video nice, sweet, and short. But at the end of tomorrow, I guess, we'll see who had the better mock draft, and we'll do some sort of giveaway for the opposing person's followers. So whoever wins, we'll have some sort of incentive there as well. I think Betzky's more of a draft guy than I am, so I'll let him take the stage. Betzky, how are you doing?
I'm pretty good. Yeah, we were kind of talking about doing this yesterday, and we were chatting back and forth a little bit, and then pretty much everything got blown up from the news that has come out from last afternoon to this morning. So
it's the worst part. We recorded a video of this before we realized there's some audio issues. And at the end, I said, can we make like a hot take call? Gretzky said that Buffalo's going to trade the 13th overall pick.
Yep.
And I said that Tyler Toffoli is going to be traded. Obviously, I said that was going to happen on draft day, so I was a little bit off there. And then like 45 minutes later, he got traded to the New Jersey Devils. So
I mean, it was literally like
45 minutes later. It was so bad that when I saw the tweet from Elliot Friedman, I was like, I went back like 8 times on his account to make sure it's not one of those trolley accounts.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into this. I don't want to make this video too long.
Sure, yeah.
We'll go 1 through 1. Let me actually pull up, because I do like using Corey Pronman and Scott Wheeler as like kind of reference points and some insider notes that they've said. I think Corey Pronman in particular had a pretty big knowledge ball drop that no one had earlier today, so we'll talk through that, and we'll see how it goes. But to start off the NHL Entry Draft, the Chicago Blackhawks are on the board. Matvei Michkov, am I right?
Yep. Let's take the risky Russian.
I'm assuming I could just fill this one in. Oh, wait.
Oh, interesting.
No, because when you do it from the drop down, it like takes them off. So I can only do it like once. I'll just copy it for you. But there we go. We're good. I'm not going to talk about it too much. Generational player, kind of put in the same level as Connor McDavid in his draft year, Sidney Crosby in his draft year. It's going to be an absolute stud first year player in the Chicago Blackhawks. That's going to make that franchise a lot of fun to watch. I don't think they're going to be very good this year, but they're going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, and I mean, adding Hall's a nice piece, but they're a long ways from being a real competitive team.
Yep.
But man, they're going to have a stellar kid on that lineup.
Yep. Agreed. And the only thing I would add in there is there's absolutely, you can't even bet on this to happen. There are no odds to bet Connor Bedard. I saw for the NBA draft, Victor Wembanyama, you could at least get him at minus 50,000. Connor Bedard, you can't even bet on. So it's something higher than that. I think it's a pretty fair lock. If Chicago didn't go there, I think the city would burn. So
I truly would wonder what would happen to just kind of the world if Bedard wasn't taken. Something would have been off.
Agreed. I think we'll go into the next one. This is where it gets interesting, because coming up to this point, it was all like, there's no way Adam Fantilli doesn't go 2. And then you had some murmurs of like, hey, maybe Matvei Michkov can go here if they really want to trust the process and just wait on it. But at no point did I think Leo Carlsson was in this discussion until about 2 hours ago. Corey Pronman just put out an article, and I read his exact words. A majority of my league sources think this will be Leo Carlsson. He's talking about the number 2 overall pick. Some still believe it'll be Fantilli. Most of the league believe that it should be Fantilli. But throughout the draft year, there's been a significant Leo Carlsson at number 2 camp that sees a big center with game-breaking skill and hockey sense. Sometimes you hear rumors around this time of year and know what is and isn't real. I don't know what Anaheim will do, but Carlsson at number 2 is a legitimate option I'm hearing around the league. I've also heard rumors of Matvei Michkov here. I'm not buying it. I would fall out of my chair if they called that name. I trust Corey Pronman in NHL draft stuff. That has me shaking.
The other thing that goes hand in hand with this was what was brought up on 32 Thoughts last week. There's actually an episode called Duck Surprise, and Merrick kind of hints on that podcast how Verbeek, the Ducks general manager, is cut from the same cloth as Yzerman as far as like strategy and going with your guy and not faltering from that. And he was kind of wondering if that meant he could take Michkov there. And he actually had a text. He didn't say who it was from. And that person kind of posted a picture of Yzerman, if I remember correctly, kind of hinting at like these two general managers are very similar. So Yzerman made that big surprise getting Seider a couple of years ago. Could we see something like Karlsson over Fantilli this year? And really, you can't go wrong with pretty much these next three names.
Yep.
I have a preference. I like the larger centers here over the real speedy one, but Karlsson and Fantilli both fit that mold. I think Karlsson had Forsberg, Sedin level numbers in the SHL. If Pronin thinks that they could kind of make this left field pick, I'm going to believe it and then say that they'll take Karlsson too.
And for betting purposes, right now Fantilli is still the favorite. He's at minus 280. But that's pretty significant, seeing as I'm pretty sure it was minus 3,000 at this point yesterday.
Yes, it was, or it was at least minus 300. Was it as high as minus?
No, it was definitely in the thousands at one point.
Holy cow!
That has dropped significantly. At that point, you're looking at now Fantilli's plus 220 to go third.
Wow,
he's more likely to go third than William Smith. Which is unheard of. And Leo Carlsson is now shot up to plus 140 to go in that number 2 overall pick. So, again, we're going against each other. I'm going to go with my gut. I cannot believe that Adam Fantilli would be passed on number 2. I think for the entire draft here, we've talked about 1-2 is Bedard Fantilli. You can't go past that. I'm understanding there might be some rumors. There might be some thoughts and everything here. I can't see them passing on Fantilli. I really can't. I'm interested to see where you go with this one, though.
I'll go Karlsson. I really trust Perronman and the sources he has. I really at least I bought into what Merrick was saying, where Verbeek likes to take his guys. And I always kind of wondered. So both of these players fit exactly what they need.
I'm assuming we're going to also be in the same area, whereas whoever goes 2 is then good. The other is going 3.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk that Columbus really likes Will Smith, but I just can't see it if Fantilli's there.
Sorry. So for me, again, for you, it makes sense. If Karlsson goes 2, I think Fantilli has to go 3. I don't think there's any doubt about it. Columbus will run to the stage.
Yeah.
For me, if everything goes as planned, I think now we're going to see Will Smith go 3. I think Pronman yesterday again said that Columbus are huge fans of William Smith, and if he's there at their pick, expect them to take him. But then he later on said this morning, if Fantilli drops there, which they had never expected, he's going to be the guy. So, again, if Karlsson goes 2, I think Fantilli's a lock at number 3. If Fantilli goes 2, I'm going to go Smith over Karlsson. For mine, again, for yours, you don't have to talk about it too much. I think Fantilli 3 says enough there.
Wow.
So for number...
It's crazy just seeing how different these 2 mocks look just because of pick number 2.
Yeah, agreed. Now, do you... What is this? Do you stray away from Smith at 4, or are we just going to go pretty par of the course?
I am going to go part of the course and say Smith's at 4. So last year, if you remember, San Jose moved from the 11th overall back with Arizona and added, I think, 3 seconds on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of did that shotgun approach, get extra darts, get more draft capital, because for years they've been selling their picks and they're in rebuild mode now. So last year they kind of did that quantity over quality. This year I don't think they can do that with the types of players that are sitting here. You just can't pass up on what could be a top line center in the league for drafting back and hoping you get that the next best guy on your list.
And I think San Jose, at least in my variation of this mock draft, will be very well aware of Leo Carlsson. I think they'll be ecstatic with it. I'm sure with William Eklund, they've done a ton of scouting and they've seen a ton of his games. And even before he came over to the AHL, like I'm sure they've watched a ton of him. And they know all about Leo Carlsson. If he's there at 4, I think he's perfect for that forward core. Put him up with another Swede in Eklund. And I feel like San Jose always has had this European...
Yeah, they're a little Euro
influence. Yeah, like what are you thinking of? A lot of the guys they have. Obviously, Erik Karlsson is there. Who knows if he'll be there next year? But it's definitely always been like a bit of like Euro influence on that team. Cool.
Yeah,
I think this is where the draft gets interesting now.
Well,
I know you're a big.
mock.
I know you're a big proponent of a certain trade at this point. Yeah. If you want to do that, go for it. It's risky, but if you think it's going to happen and get you points, again, I'm not saying that he has to then be picked by the Canadians. If you say that it's going to be here, I'll put in trade. Okay. I'll give you a bonus point as well, because that's pretty hard to fucking call.
Well, that's too tempting now. So I'm gonna drop the bomb. I think Montreal is going to trade back.
Okay.
And I think they're going to take
with who?
Oh man, it's either Philly or the Capitals, right?
Pick one for that extra bonus point if you can get it.
To get it right, I'm going to do Philly.
Really? Okay.
Philly has that. They have an extra pick, an extra first-round pick. Montreal just traded the 31st overall and a second to get Alex Newhook, who was kind of more in the early 20s, late teens. I forget exactly what draft order he was in. Pick a couple years ago. He's kind of a speedy, kind of projected to be a 2C at the top, but he's more center depth. He kind of plays wing a little bit too. So they already added another forward. So I can't really see them salivating and running to the podium to grab Leonard here, who we have heard a lot of people really, really love. I think if they want to go and get their potential future top defenseman and Reinbacker, or to really kind of add to that solid core they're already building, they may be able to do that and just move back a couple spots, recoup a pick, and essentially get Newhook for a second.
Cool. I'm going to go with something again that I feel pretty strongly about. I think this is going to be the first defenseman off the board. For myself, again, I think we hear about people or trades within the top 5, top 10 a lot in the NHL, and it just barely ever happens. I think it's more of a media thing to kind of hype up around the draft and get more eyes on it. I think Montreal has a really good young forward core. They added it with Alex Newhook. So you now have Newhook, Harvey Pinard, Doc, Caulfield, Suzuki, all there under the age of 24, 25. Forgot about Uri Slavkovsky, who's already there. His little buddy. I forget his name now. The others. What was his name? Sorry.
Massar.
They have a ton of forwards. I think now you're looking at that blue line. They need a little bit of help. I think Reinbacher is clearing away the best defenseman in the draft, projected to kind of be like a 2-3 defenseman. Yeah. So maybe not your elite guy, but he could play on a top pair with another elite guy, and he's the best defenseman in this draft. I think it makes a lot of sense for Montreal here to take him. And if that happens, I think I talked about this with you in depth. You said that the Coyotes are huge fans of Dvorsky at this point, so I'm going to take your professional advice and just slot that one in as well. You can kind of go more in depth on it if that is the pick you're going with.
Yeah, I'm going to go Dvorsky here too. I originally thought if Leonard were to drop to them at 6, they would be running up to grab Leonard. Everything I'm reading is they just absolutely love Dvorsky. I've heard that he's the player they've scouted, or the Coyotes are the team who has scouted him the most out of all the teams. I know we were in Slovakia a lot last year, probably watching Nemec, but we probably saw a ton of Dvorsky too. So I've just heard over and over that they love the kid. He can't hurt by building up more center depth, and if you think he's the best player available, we're in that kind of mode where let's just keep on stockpiling best players we can get.
Actually, let me zoom this in. Hit a little zoom in there. Could help a little bit. All right.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm going to just trust your guidance on that. You've said that for a while now, so I think that's a good pick. Now, note, in Gretzky's version of this is now Montreal's pick. In mine, this is still Philly. So with Philly, I think we saw a lot of rumors, especially earlier today, that they are really in love with Ryan Leonard. I think that's going to be where they go. I know a lot of Philly fans would want to see Matvei Michkov, but I just don't see it as a fit. I could see that being one of the organizations that he probably refused to meet with. I can't see him. I really can't see him playing under John Tortorella. I know people are saying he might not be there, but that's a risk. He's currently there. I personally don't know if that's going to be a great fit. Even if he's not going to be there, I'm pretty sure Torts would have been there for like interviews of this kid if he chose to meet them, and he would have just met him and not been a fan.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm gonna go Ryan Leonard here. There's something about Michkov just going 8 to Washington, and I'll fill him in for mine right now. That just, it makes so much sense, and as a hockey fan, is what I want to see. I really wish FanDuel lets you get like a perfect order draft. Give me a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is the one right here. I have it. Give me a plus 50,000 odds. Go ahead. You got 2 picks now then.
Yeah. Well, I have Montreal here, so I think it's definitely Reinbacher too. So we like the same player going to that team. It's for all the same reasons, and again, I think they're probably getting a lot of value here by trading back in order to still get their guy. Again, I think even if Washington were to be the trade partner, they would still be getting Reinbacher at 8, because I agree with you. I think Philly, if they aren't able to get Michkov, are going to go Leonard.
Okay.
And then, so I have Capitals here at 8. Oof, this gets a little bit trickier now that kind of the big name. I think they have to go Leonard.
Yeah, he'd be the best player available on that board in that time.
I mean, Washington kind of needs a little bit of everything. They got a really highly touted prospect last year in Miroshnichenko, but he has some health concerns. Hopefully he's getting better. But they may have their 2 forwards of the future in Leonard and him, if it all goes well.
Yep. I think now this is where the draft gets interesting. I want to say the top 8's pretty dead set. I don't think you'll see anyone outside of these guys go into the top 8. I think the only way it happens is if Montreal likes another defender better than Reinbacher. So in that same spot, they might just take a different defenseman instead. But if that's the case, you would trade back if you're them, right? You don't take a different defenseman at 5. You'd probably move back. I think at Detroit, it gets really, really interesting. Scott Wheeler yesterday had our boy Oliver Moore, who, again, another one that we kind of talked about, and I like the value as he is currently... Where is he? He is currently at plus 800 to go in that spot. I think it's a really, really good shout. I like the kid a lot. And even better, you could get him under 14.5, I believe, on FanDuel. Yeah. I haven't seen a mock draft have him go below 14. Pronman had him go 13 today. Wheeler yesterday had him 9 in this very, very spot with Detroit. I like the kid a lot. I think if it's not him, it'll probably be Matthew Wood. I think those are the 2 that I was kind of going in between. But I'm going to go Oliver Moore here today.
Yeah, I'm going to go Moore too. We talked about yesterday. I've been hearing a lot that they just love the kid. U.S. National Development League, real big speedster. People think he's the fastest player in the draft. That would go really well with Larkin, who we know is a speedster. It just seems like a Detroit kind of Yzerman pick here. Again, like you mentioned, Wood makes a lot of sense here too. So Wood has kind of that really high ceiling, but that floor is a little scary because he has some skating concerns.
Yep. Cool. We'll go over to St. Louis. I think this is a spot where you really could see St. Louis trade back. I don't know why, but something about the Kevin Hayes trade to me signals like they kind of want to go more all in than wait for this rebuild with their, I think they have a nucleus of a team there with Buchnevich, Thomas, Kyrou. Their defense is all kind of old players with no trade clauses, but they spend a lot of money on them. I could see them potentially moving this pick. I'm not going to speculate where because I think it's just way too difficult to do so. And because of all the young talent they have up front already, I'm just going to go defenseman here. I think the best defenseman on the board, you're looking either at Willander or Sandin Pellikka. It's kind of a toss-up for me, so I'm going to go with who I think is the best defenseman at this point, and that's Sandin Pellikka.
Nice. Yeah, the Blues' defensive prospects it's not the most full cupboard by any means, so I definitely like that. I'm going to go a little bit in a different route. I think that they're going to take a very Armstrong-type player here, and Danielson. Nate Danielson is just kind of a guy who's good at everything, but not like a master of anything. He kind of checks all the check boxes off of what you want to see in a player, even if he doesn't really excel at any given thing. Pronman loves him. Kind of like a Dylan Cousins type player if all goes well. And then they're pretty much set at down the middle with Rob Thomas and Nate Danielson in the future for their center core. So I think this is going to be a type of player that they highly covet. They like the way he plays. He fits the Blues hockey. And I think they're going to be pretty excited about adding him to it.
Cool. I think at this point, I think Vancouver is definitely going defenseman. Yes. I think they would take Willander or Sandin Pellikka, whichever one's left. If they're both there, it's kind of a toss-up, but because I have Pellikka going 10, I'm going to go Willander here, 11 to the Vancouver Canucks. I think, again, they have some good forwards there. I think they could use some help on the defensive end. I know Quinn Hughes is there. They traded for Hill Peronic. But I think on the back end, there's not many prospects coming through, and I think that would help their team more than going for other forward, which I actually think for a bad team, they actually have some decent depth up front.
Yeah, they got some interesting guys, and you know, Pettersson and Hughes aren't like old.
No, not at all.
They just kind of ended that phase of the rebuild a little too early, and now they're kind of having to start it up again.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Yeah, I'm going to go Willander too. I've heard that they love the kid. That defense outside of Quinn Hughes is probably one of their most needed areas. I think this checks a lot of boxes for them, and again, they've seemingly loved the kid too.
So Betzky, a little not breaking news, but rumors around from Frank Cervalli. Hearing the Habs are weighing as much as 5 offers currently for the number 5 overall pick.
Wow.
Love that. I think it's going to be a team that wants Michkov, no matter what it is. But I've said this yesterday to you, and I think I could see it happen again, is I could see a really good team give up some good pieces.
Yeah.
To be like, you know what?
Byram for Colorado, man.
We don't need this talent now. We're more than good enough right now. Let's, mortgage a little bit of their future to get this kid, and we're willing to wait 2-3 years for him to come over. We don't need him right now. I don't know what team that's going to be, though. And like maybe Minnesota with Kaprizov there, but I don't know what they really have to give up. Like, is there a team that could just jump in that no one expects? Because I think right now I would be expecting, looking at this, Philly, Washington, Detroit, maybe Vancouver are 4 teams. But if there's 5, who's the 5th? I could see it be a good team that no one's expecting.
I could too. I mean, I'm sitting here looking at this draft board, and St. Louis has 3 firsts. But again, Montreal may be ready to go for it. Now, Colorado has 2 firsts. And, Byram could be a piece they dangle.
Yeah, but I think that makes I don't think...
Yeah, I think that hurts.
I think Colorado right isn't one of those teams that has excess pieces. Like, they want to win now.
Yeah.
So if you're trading 2 firsts... I don't think it's for Michkov. I think it's for or trading Byram, especially making their current team worse. I think that's backwards for them.
Yeah, I kind of do too. St. Louis has the draft pieces to do it.
Yep.
Could it be Calgary? Wow, Michkov isn't going to want to go over there.
They can't even keep the Canadians in Calgary. What makes you think the Russians going to go there?
Yeah.
Let's go to 12. Again, back to your team again. I didn't realize how many or that you guys had 2 picks so early on here.
Yeah.
But
2 years in a row.
Go for it. What do you think?
2 picks in the top 12, and
I'm just trusting your judgment on this one. So whoever you say is here,
Yeah, this is a little bit of a hope pick for me,
then I already know who it is.
Also, the value of getting Benson here is insane. I mean, this kid was kind of considered a top 5 pick going into this draft. He played on a stacked Winnipeg Ice team with Connor Geekie and Matthew Savoy, who were both top 10 picks. I guess Geekie was 11th overall last year, and he outproduced them last year. So his year before his draft year, he outproduced 2 guys who were selected very high in last year's draft. Kid's got motor. The kid kind of reminds me of Marner in a lot of ways. The only problem is he's a pretty small guy, but he doesn't play that way. And our head of amateur scouting, Plandowski, actually kind of called that out, said that we're going to get the guy who we think is best, and we're not concerned with size. If they check all the boxes we're looking for, we're going to go for them. And to me, that kind of hints that they wouldn't be scared off by somebody like Benson.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I trust your judgment on this team more than anything. The only concern here is from the latest mock drafts, Pronman has him at 19 at this point. Like,
Pronman hasn't liked him all year for some reason.
Okay, that's fair enough. But Wheeler, I'm pretty sure when I looked at his, had a similar thought that he was going to drop. Okay. For me, I'm just going to go safer here. I think this guy could go top 10, and since I didn't have him go here, I'm going to go with Matthew Wood. I think there's been some rumors recently about him going 9 to Detroit, so I could see him go earlier. If he drops here, I could see the Coyotes want to have I know you said that he's like skinny, but at least he's a big kid. I think he's 6'4", so he has some room to grow and kind of turn potentially in that power forward if he can beef up. Which is, I'm sure, what the Coyotes want to do. I think he's the best player available at this point. I could see what you're saying, where Benson could have that boom bust, where it's like, hey, this kid had talent. He was a top 5 pick at one point in this year. But clearly there's some reason for him to drop, and I think if that's there, I could see him continue to drop as well. I know it's your pipe dream for him to go.
Yeah. No, Wood's a good pick there too, and I've seen some chatter that we may like him too. Guy's got a cannon of a shot, and it's really skilled in front of the net.
Yep. So I was gonna say, we're coming up right around the 30-minute mark right now for the recording. Let's go through these last 3 picks real quick, or just go through 1, 2, 3 real quick, so we can make this not too long of the remaining players.
Yeah. So I think there's a good chance that Buffalo trades this pick.
I agree.
I just had the thought, what if it's the Flames for someone like Hanifin?
I think that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
I think it makes so much sense to go for Hanifin. I think I saw most of the rumors of Hanifin going to Toronto right now. That's kind of the guy that they want.
What would Toronto trade? That's the
Nyes.
thing. Like they like Nyes though, and they need that type of player.
Yeah, but you can't upgrade the blue line if you're not willing to give up something of value. Defensemen are the hardest thing to acquire in the NHL. Good defensemen.
Yep, that is a tricky spot for a team that's so close to being there. But
either way, I'll just go through mine real quick since you just said it. I think this is where Danielson will go. So I'm going to go Danielson at 13. I then Pittsburgh, I feel like, needs everything. You could go ahead. I'm going to think this through a little bit more.
Yeah, I'll do Axel Pelika here.
Okay. Do Buffalo? You think they're taking another defenseman?
I mean, they definitely need help. They have a lot of everything. They don't really need a forward either.
I agree.
It's really they've got a lot of great prospects. So I think they just go for more of the premium position here, and can't believe that this kid fell to them and run up and grab him.
I could see Pittsburgh going to be the place to go for Benson, so that's what I'm going to go. Drops a little bit here, but I think small kid, talented, with a good motor makes a lot of sense. Pittsburgh needs a lot of help everywhere, and although I think they probably would rather defensemen, if Pelika, Wallander, and Reinbach are off the board, I think it's a reach going for anyone else. The only other defenseman I've seen even in the conversation is from Pronman, who has Dmitry Simashev, actually going 12 to the Coyotes as a risky projected Russian pick. But I think that's too much of a risk, and I don't think Pittsburgh's going to be the team to do that. So I'm going to go with Benson here at 14.
Yeah, and I think I have a similar thought process as you do here, and I think this is a team that wants to try to get the home run out of the pick. So I'm going to go Wood here.
Okay.
I think they would rather take the risk of having a bust than missing out on the guy who could be a big difference maker on where they go. And again, we got a new general manager over there, so I could see a different kind of think tank.
Any St. Marie players knocking about?
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to figure out which guys from the Sioux.
Cool. And then we all do our last pick here, rounding out the lottery. I think the lottery actually goes till 16, but we'll stop at 15, I guess. Is the Nashville Predators. I think the best player left out of Bob McKenzie's top 15, top 16 that hasn't been drafted by, at least by myself, is Gabriel Perreault. So I'm just going to go with him there as the last pick. I don't know too much about the kid. As we get later on in this draft, I'm really weak on knowledge on some of these guys. So again, this is more of me just trusting other people.
Yeah, he's a top skill guy. He was on that line with Leonard and Will Smith in the U.S. National Development Program. Super skilled, it's kind of another boom busty type pick here, but I could see that with Nashville kind of need to restock those cupboards, especially at forward a little bit. But this is a Barry Trotz team, and I think Trotz likes size, so I'm going to go Honzek here. So Samuel Honzek, the Slovak.
Gotcha.
Got another big forward to kind of add to. They kind of have more slender, speedy guys to begin with, so I think I like taking the zigzag here.
Cool. To end the video, we're gonna do something that could get you 5 points if you get right. So we'll do, if you get the player right, we'll give you 2 points per. This is an out there wild prediction that you think is going to happen. Let me hear it. This will get you, actually we'll do 3 points. If we're doing every player right, 2 points. It's a little too much. We get a 3-point bonus if you can guess just something wild you think is going to happen in the draft.
Okay.
You could go with your Buffalo call.
I'm going to do the Buffalo. Yeah, okay. Buffalo trades that 13th overall for a defenseman, and if I get Hannafin right, do I get an extra point on top of that?
+1 for Hannafin.
I don't make the rules.
It's okay. Oh, it's not letting me do. I'll do just 1 for Hannafin.
Okay.
That makes it tough for me because mine yesterday was fully getting traded. And no, I feel like I should start the video with like 2+ points or something like that.
I kind of did too.
No, it's okay. I'm going to go out there and something that I called a little bit earlier. I'm going to go St. Louis trades 10 for immediate NHL help.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And then I need a +1 player as well. Someone that could get me +1 point. So if I had to guess, no. I think their forwards are fine.
What about Lindholm?
Yeah, but does St. Louis need another center? They just got Kevin Hayes. They have Rob Thomas there.
Yeah, true. Huberdeau?
No, he's not tradable. You can't. He's making way too much money. He just signed that. Yeah. Calgary's stuck with that contract.
That's true.
I'm trying to think like who would make sense that would be out there. You know what? No, let's change it up. Erik Karlsson will be traded today.
That's a really good one.
I know he's in the rumor mill, but it's a tough trade to make because Mike Greer said yesterday he's not willing to retain 50% on him. So, like, what team could really make that work? I think there might be 3 or 4 at best. If that's the case, then you need probably a third team in there for retention. So it'd be like, I think one rumor that I saw is San Jose would trade him to Chicago. Chicago would then retain 50%. Chicago would then trade him to a contender. I think Carolina, Toronto, Florida were like the 3 teams mainly interested. Wow. So for my bonus point, I'm going to say to the Florida Panthers.
Nice.
All right. That'll wrap it up here. I'm going to try to get this out as soon as possible. Should be out right around noon time Eastern. We are going to have a second video out today, which is going to be a Sporcle quiz, I believe, on NHL draft picks by team, so the highest picks that they've made. So you guys will have a little bit of fun with that one. But besides that, that has been Top Cheddar and Greztkys here with the Blue Line. We're going to be back with a ton of content. Free agency begins on Saturday. So I'm thinking on Friday we'll do a video talking about the top targets and where do we think they're going to go. And then we're fully into the offseason where we'll do team reviews, team recaps. How do we think teams are going to shake out, and that type of stuff. So a ton of content upcoming. Really, really excited for this. Appreciate all the support on the early videos. Greztkys, do you have anything to kind of finish off here?
This is like Christmas Day for me, so I just love the draft, so I'm really excited.
Love it. Thank you so much, guys. Again, leave comments, whatever you guys think. Are we right? Are we wrong? We're going to be doing the giveaway for whoever has the closest or best draft here as well for the mock draft, and we're going to see you guys very, very soon. Thank you so much.
Cool.
Bye.
See ya.